Many people are underestimating the power of AFT. Let me explain something. I'm going to read something out to you. This is in our achievements channel. It's where the students share all of their progression and success. So this is from someone who's new, which is really important. Hi Mark and the Falcon team. I recently joined Falcon FX because I was very interested in the refinement strategy that Mark was talking about on Instagram. I was already a funded profitable trader, but I'm always looking to level up my game, so I joined. My results are insane. I'm writing this message after I just made 18% on 3 trades that I took on a single day on the US 30. My risk is 1% per trade, so I'm glad he's following the right risk. I'm absolutely speechless, and I've attached a photo of my trades and results below. Thank you so much, Mark and the Falcon team. Joining is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Bearing in mind, since someone who's made $8,200 and something there or thereabouts in a single day, and if you look at the actual trades itself, surprisingly, someone who's just joined very early on, my only guess is for someone who is already built a consistent mindset, who's already profitable, it's very easy for someone to come in, understand the concepts, and then be able to execute, which is why consistency is the key part here. But this is someone who's early on. I can only imagine the type of numbers this guy's going to be hitting once he fully understands it, fully integrated it, has the testing. Take a look at this from Ben. He's an absolute beast. So 3 trades, pound dollar, 4.8% difference. Euro CAD, 26% difference. Dollar CAD, 1.65% difference. All of those late nights and early mornings are starting to pay off with the refinement coming out, as well as the growth is going to be insane. This is honestly awesome thing to witness. This community is second to none. This is what is happening. This is why I was so pumped in launching AFT. It's differences like this so people can see the power of it. These results are absolutely unreal. Sitting down and completing a document like this one has really highlighted to me that over the longer term results, they are going to be insane. Look at the difference here. So Euro Sterling, 7.1% difference. CAD Swiss, 3.6% difference. Pound CAD, 7.6% difference. Just in the 5 positions that he's listed overall, my results have increased by 27%. We are not messing around. With our fund and third-party funds, you cannot sleep on AFT. This is not a joke. This is why when you do something and you build something on good foundations and you're not after the quick win, this is what happens. When you have something strong, you can refine in the right moments, which is what these trades are in the golden run. This is what happens, and that's the difference. I'm so pleased and proud, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. I'm surprised so early on, but I'm not surprised at the results, and this is just the beginning. AFT, Advanced Falcon Trader. If you didn't see it last week, we launched it. This is round 2. I'm going to share some really important things. The aftermath of the launch has been insane. I'm not shocked at the numbers. I'm just shocked at how quickly and early on people are getting involved in these trades. So I gave everybody a game plan as to how they can get this on lock, because once you do, you're seriously going to start to level up, and you'll see from, again, I'm going to read a few things out here, but it's just been mind-blowing. For those of you that don't know, I spent a year and a half on this, so I took this very, very seriously. Anything that I put out into the community, it's not just a knee-jerk reaction. This takes time. I'm thorough with it, and I want to make sure that it is scalable, it's sensible. I can knowledge transfer it to the community, and they're able to actually work on a game plan and put it into their trading plan that is simple. It should not be difficult. Remember, what is an advanced trader? Let's recap that. An advanced trader is someone who can perform flawlessly on the very simple things, right? Mastery is not complexity, and that's where this industry has got us very, very confused. And remember, the industry wants to sell you on these complicated algos, but really it's simple things, understanding high value areas, liquidity points, understanding where the masses are getting caught on the wrong side of the market. It is so simple, yet people don't do the work to make it simple. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. That's another point that people get confused, but we'll go into that conversation at another time. But right now, I want to show you some really key examples. These are fresh ones that just literally happened this week. We're just the nuts, seriously. So we're going to go into that. So I've got Swiss yen here. This was, what a stunning trade this was. And again, and what I really want you to understand is why we are implementing AFT and why we're getting involved in these trades. We are looking at the higher time frame. This is where people get confused. They compromise things by not factoring in the higher time frame. And in a short period of time, certain type of conditions, yes, it works. So you can see Swiss yen, all-time highs. We're naturally looking for value areas to sell. Now, remember, what does the market have to do? The market has to convince you that we are going to the upside. So essentially, amateurs, what are they doing? They're buying the highs and they're selling the lows. So what are they doing here? They're buying, buying, buying. You have to be convinced that this all-time high has been broken and it's going to carry on. So it's not always going to be obvious. But what you're going to see here on the 4-hour chart, and this is something we forecasted way in ahead in advance. This is just like clockwork now, that you can see. Very, very simple. We have our left shoulder, right here. So you can see the right shoulder, it just protrudes. And this is a nice little tip for you, a little lesson that I've covered many times. When the right shoulder is equal to or just above the left shoulder, those are the ones that have the highest probability of playing out. If there is a gap, they tend to get filled very quickly. So what we was looking at here is this. When we go to the lower time frames, again, we're being granular, but we're starting higher time frame. We had our first entry at the top. I would say that's a bit more ambitious, which I'm going to go to. And I'm not going to go into every single detail, but I'm just going to show you there was a much more, this was the riskier one, which I personally wouldn't recommend, but it's there. It's just, again, it's your tolerance to risk, right? So you'd be looking at roughly, by the time you're out, anywhere between 12.5%, 12 to 12.5. Nice simple one. What would have been more appropriate is this one in this scenario, which you'd be looking at probably about 25 pip, and then similar sort of area, about 6.2-ish. So that's your first trade. In here, not so much. This second one, again, more of a ambitious entry within here, and sometimes these ones are going to be beautiful, which is roughly around here. You're talking similar sort of area, about 15.8. Would I have taken it on the break of this area? Not so much. I mean, it was there, and that still would have been, it's still about 5%. It's still healthy. However, the killer trade was in here because it was matched by everything. So let's go back to this. If we look, we've got left shoulder, head, right shoulder. The right shoulder, what did I just tell you? When it protrudes above the left, has a high strike rate of playing out. So you've got that area of value. It hits the right shoulder. Simple stuff that has been around for literally over 25 to 30 years and more. So we hit that area, we confirm, we push to the downside, we break this structure. And if you just look at the simple area, where did we break? We broke above all these wicks, which we expected, caught people, and we trapped people in this area here. So we trapped people in that area there, which we was anticipating, and then we broke to the downside, and then we're looking for continuation within here. So the real trade was understanding how to get involved in here. We actually have a falcon flag here, which is even better to be able to get involved in this position. So this is what you need to understand. This is technically a trade right there. And even though I'm going to try and force a loss here, because of course you can take losses. AFT is not immune to losses, right? You technically, no, it's break even. So even I'm going to try and force a loss there, but you wouldn't. But let's say you did take the first trade, you still would have been okay. It's this next one, right? So simple when you understand the context behind that. And this, again, if we go to management as to where you would have been out, I mean, you could have squeezed a little bit more, but you're talking, let's be on the more conservative side. It's more about a 12 to 1. Right, a 12 to 1 in pretty much a day. So you're talking a simple 12% position that has context all the way through. So can you see, all we've done is refine what we already do. That's the beauty of it. So that's why students are able to flawlessly just implement this into their strategies. So as you can imagine, people that are already consistent or they're on the verge of consistency, there's no coincidence why they're being able to implement it in there, which is why I said in the episode before, if you have a foundational layer of how we trade the markets, you cannot afford to not know how to enter these trades because you will miss out. There's a time and a place for FOMO. I don't encourage that at all, but these are so simple. Why would you not take them? It's literally crazy. So you have to understand this is going to be consistently there on a regular basis because it always was there. It was just knowing where to use it and refine it. And that is what I am knowledge transferring in the AFT section. And the way this is structured step by step, now I understand the feedback that we've been getting. Again, just going through, another person funded literally yesterday, which is so good. Okay, they're in the verification phase. Some are in pass 1, stage 2, nice. And again, it's the energy in here, right? It's the energy in here. Thank you so much, guys. The inspiration in here. I'm loving Falcon Learning so much. This is so good. And a big shout out to Danielle for the foundation training webinars. Big shout out to Danielle, by the way. And again, this is another great example as to, we have students that have been in Falcon for a period of time and they've leveled up, they've scaled up, and they have the ethos and the mentality that go above and beyond. Do you know what's something really interesting here is that there is a common pattern. So Danielle, she's actually been on the channel many, many times. So if you definitely go and check out the videos if you haven't seen them, and on the podcast, Danielle is a very, very special individual, and the mentality that she has is like one I've never seen before, because she's just been so persistent. She's grown tremendously as a human being, and it's her above and beyond mentality, which is why the thanks are in there straight away, right? And that's the difference. And you find a common pattern. Those that have stuck around longer to make it happen, coincidentally, are doing really well. Funny how that works, right? And hopefully that's a big eye-opener for those of you that maybe got caught up into these kind of negative circles, and you was asking really people with losing mindsets for advice. What do you think you're going to get? You're going to get loser answers. You didn't ask people that were doing well, how are you doing it? Okay, I'll show you. How are you doing it? You think people in Falcon wouldn't tell you? We're the most active, helpful community in this space, period. This is what I built this on. This changed the ethos of this space. Remember, before Falcon started, it was ego central, ego city, ego FC. It was everywhere. What benefit do you think having a massive ego in this space has? Yes, maybe an ego in certain things, maybe in sports and all other industries, it can work for you. But in trading, it's the quickest way to sabotage yourself in the markets. It does more damage to you. So I'm so grateful to see people just persist, have that strong mentality, and no wonder they're doing well. And that's what I love. A lot of the times, your answers are right under your nose, and you've got to be willing to go through the pain. Otherwise, if you don't build a strong mindset, then you won't have one after. That's just a reality, because your brain is clever. It starts the blueprint, and you start training your mind to think, right, when things get hard, I need to either give up and do something else or learn a new strategy. What type of mentality? Do you think that's a mentality of a winner? It's a mentality of a loser. And that is why you have to have the conversation to yourself, right? Regardless of how you trade, right? So one more example before we finish up, because there's so much to do for the rest of this week, and I'm so pumped for this quarter. Q3 is going to be one of the biggest quarters. We've got a workshop coming up, by the way, which is a recession-proof workshop. For those of you that are in Falcon, if you just joined, make sure you get yourself there. We're going to be going through a plan. If you do not have a plan for the rest of this quarter, for the rest of this year and next year, you will get left behind. You will miss out on a magnitude of opportunities, and we're going to be laying it all out. We're going to be laying out the financial literacy that you need to have in place, ratios, simulations, so much more that is going to be packed into this. You wouldn't learn in university in 10 years that what you'll learn in this workshop. Seriously, you would not learn it. You would not learn it. Not the level of practicality and the level of impact that you will see from this workshop. I can't wait for it. So let's finish up with the last example. So CAD-GNR, this was a beauty. So entry-wise, this one is arguable, right? Because the one here, you could have technically taken a loss, it depending on your stop. But the good thing about this particular one, well, actually, it would have been a break-even. But the reality is there was the re-entry anyway. So the re-entry was a bit tighter, anywhere between 12 to 14. That's fine. And then you'd have been walking away on this one. So this is just a nice simple one. You probably would have just got either tagged out here. If you was a bit more lenient with your management, then you'd be looking at, of course, the maximum of roughly around 23. So that was a simple one in there. And then in here, if we count, so you've got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So number 3 and number 4 were technically another one in here, but that's a bit more average. The one in here, which is just so stunning, that's my favorite one, right? If you went for the maximum, you're talking with 26, and where you likely would have got out there, just in case you didn't go for the pullback, 6.4. Yeah, nice. That is beautiful. And then this beastly one there as well, which was anywhere between 15. You could have gone a bit low, but just call it 15, right? Even here, by the time you're out, because again, we're managing still exactly how we manage our trades from our plan. You're talking about 14 to 15. Again, you can just see here, it's just there. It's there consistently. And what you have to understand is this: even when trades are not playing out and they're not even working, and that's what I mean when I say not working, when they've not fully committed to their higher time frame structure. So just when they've essentially moved one little segment, 14%, 15%, 18%. So it's not the numbers I want you to fixate on. It's the thought process and the simplicity and the risk applied in the higher time frame areas to get the numbers. If you've got to take 5 trades and potentially have loss, break even, loss, and you're constantly in drawdown to get that one trade with a tight stop that banks you 20%, do you really think when you're trading more money that you're going to emotionally be able to cope with that? Because most people can't. I could literally show you a strategy right now that I would never trade, right? I could show you a strategy right now that you could be way more risky on something that, I don't know, 10, 20K, 30K, even 100K, right? That would probably bank some serious numbers, but it would be so risky. It would be so emotional. You might take 5 to 7 losses before you take a win. And you could say, well, that's fine, Mark, because, you know, mathematically I can take 7 losses if I'm going to make 30%. Let me know how that works out for you, right? Start doing that on 200K, 300, 400, which is a reason why you cannot fundamentally just become this robot. So if you think it's going to be any different on the screen when you've got 10K running, and then you convince yourself it's just numbers on the screen. Well, you think there's going to be no emotion there. It's just going to be numbers on the screen. You're going to see 90K pull back to break even and then still play out, and you're going to be fine about it. You're going to get on with your day, have your iced tea. I don't think so. And that's the part you need to be prepared for, which is why sometimes it's better to walk away with a decent amount of profit versus looking back in hindsight and going, I could have made this and I could have made that. Forget that garbage. Focus on what is actually a reality in the market, sustainable, in line with your actual lifestyle that you want to live. Are you even designing a lifestyle, or are you going from being an employee to the markets? That's what you need to think about. Do not sleep on AFT. I wanted to share this with you because I'm so pumped for this quarter and what is going to happen over these next 3 to 6 months. Seriously, guys. So thank you all for the feedback, the support. Big welcome to those of you that have joined the community recently as well. You are in for a treat. What a time it is to be involved in this community, seriously. And the feeling of all these hours and these years put in to get to this stage, this is what makes it worth it. Hundreds of hours and conviction and just testing. Just here where I am now, it just, honestly, it's the only way I can explain it. It's a big sigh of relief knowing that now this knowledge can be transferred for the community so people can level up. No messing around. Enjoy your day wherever you are in the world. If you're in this space already and you are an aspiring trader, I commend you already, because it's one of the most difficult things that you will do, yet it will have the biggest rewards. Make it happen, guys. Catch you in the next episode.